Hey everyone, Bob here. Today I'm gonna explain to you how we're gonna determine the man hour required and the labor cost required to do a 16 cylinder V type engine major overhaul. Okay, this is coming from the work order that the motor pool or a workshop is having, and they need to do a determination of the man hour required to do this overhauling. And also the cost accounting department is also seeking for a detailed man hour requirement to carry out this major overhaul, and also of course the labor cost. And actually this is the services that the that this company is providing to customers who own some heavy equipment, some engines, doing overhauling, doing engine rebuilding, and doing rehabilitation of some heavy equipment. This is the kind of thing that they're doing as far as their services is concerned. So the thing that the cost accounting is only looking for is to have the required man hours so that they be able to do the costing. And one of the costing is the labor, and also others are like the parts that are required to be replaced, things like that. Okay, so this is a 16 cylinder V type engine major overhaul, and this is coming from the work order from the shop, which is run by the operation manager. And the work order, it could be called, some operations manager is calling this work order, and some other managers is calling this a job order. It doesn't matter, they're all the same. So work order is like the engine major overhaul or engine rebuilding, the 16 cylinder V type engine. This is a huge engine. The application of for this engine is like being utilized for coupling with the generating set or generator, or it could be application could be installed on heavy equipment machinery, like like a huge hauler. Okay, maybe perhaps 100 tons capacity hauler. That's huge equipment. They call it monster equipment. Okay, so so the work order again is just for the engine major overhaul and or engine rebuilding for the 16 cylinder V type engine, and the mechanics or the or whoever is doing the reception. Sometimes they have health and safety, rather heavy equipment receptionist, or who is doing the who is actually preparing a work order, and the diagnose of the engine, that the engine is having an engine knock. Okay, an engine knock is coming from the perhaps coming from the pistons knocking, or coming from the crankshaft main bearing journals, or connecting rod journals, or connecting rod bearings. Or it could be this would be a dangerous occurrence of the engine, and it needs to be disassembled and look into. And usually they do already a major overhaul when it comes to this. And also engine blow by. Engine blow by is like, you have a combustion on top of the cylinder of the piston, and all the pressure is just, instead of having a good compression, compression cycle of the engine for combustion, the pressure that is being compressed is leaking through the piston rings, around the pistons. So they call it engine blow by. So the problem of this is that the piston rings are already damaged, and it doesn't hold or seal the 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 combustion process. Okay, and also sometimes this pumping oil is happen. The the oil in the lubrication pan or in the crankcase of the engine block is supposed to stay there, and only the oil pump is pumping the oil for the lubrication purpose, no lubrication system. But the oil is coming up through the again through the piston ring, and it mixes with the combustion process, and then perhaps the engine is overheated. Okay, when the engine is overheated, usually the cylinder head is damaged and it cracked. Okay, the engine is cracked, or the piston is burned, or the valves is also burned, so they also need to be overhauled. Okay, so this is the diagnose that most likely happened to the engine. That's why the engine really needs a major overhaul. Okay, and or perhaps the engine already loses power. Okay, supposed to give I don't know, maybe 1,000, 2,000 horsepower, but the engine does not you know provide the services it's supposed to provide, giving the right torque and horsepower of the engine, because the engine already lose power because the engine is already worn out, and that really needs a major overhauling also. Yeah, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna determine the cost, the labor cost only. That is what we're going to determine. But uh, we're gonna determine that by having the man hour, of course, because that would be our multiplier. Okay, we'll be able to determine the labor cost if we have the all the manpowers. So those are the things that we're going to do. That's why I put here the details of the work order. These are the things that we're going to be doing in which is all inclusion of the major overhaul. Sometimes some people are calling it general overhaul. Sometimes some people are calling it major overhaul. We just call it major overhaul. Okay, these are the things that we're going to be doing as part of the work order. Okay, coming from the reception. Okay, the customer reception, or the customer relationship management, or the customer service. Okay, we're gonna be doing an engine pull out from generator or heavy equipment. A mechanic will do these things, some mechanics requires help, but most of the mechanics, especially the most experienced mechanic, they just doing it by themselves. Okay, they can do it by themselves. Anyway, there are material handling equipment or lifting equipment that they can utilize, like overhead crane, like gantry, or something else. Okay, so they don't actually need help. So some uh, even as huge as this engine, some mechanics prepare to work alone, working on, because they don't want to take chances by having a shop hand or a helper, mechanic helper, and do something, terribly wrong on some parts. So they just want to work alone and make sure that everything is done according to to the standard. So that's why most senior mechanics, or most experienced mechanics, they want to be working alone. Okay, these are the things that we're going to be doing. Engine pull out from generator. It could be a generating sets application, or it could be a heavy equipment application, just like a hauler. What I said earlier. And then after pulling it out from the generator, it needs to be washed. Okay, engine wash with the use of a steam cleaner, either steam cleaner or pressure cleaner. The things that they're going to remove by washing the engine is some dirt, some soil. So if you're only having some soil or some dirt, pressure cleaner would be enough. This is high pressure water, high pressure cleaner coming off from the nozzle. So you use that for cleaning the and removing the soil or the dirt or the earth. Okay, if there are some oil spillages, okay, some oil leakages, then what you do is you use a steam cleaner. Steam cleaner is hot steam coming off from the nozzle or from the hose, and that would be good in removal of some oils, spillages all around the engine. Okay, and then dismantle engine. All the parts will be dismantled for inspection, for washing inspection. Then we're gonna be doing sandblasting of all dismantled parts. Okay. Uh, it's also cleaning by just using sandblaster. Okay. Sandblaster can be used when all the parts are already dismantled, and you can sandblast it one by one. So in order for it to make it, clean, and after sandblasting, the parts will look like brand new. Okay, so sandblasting is also good for cleaning of some components or parts. Then we're gonna be doing cylinder head recondition, valve seats replace, and grinding of valves and seats. Okay, some valve seats need replacement, but you can also use the old ones if still good, and you just grind the valves and the seats. Or most of the time when they do major overhaul, they just replace the valve seats and also the valves, which is the intake valves and the exhaust valves, and there are lots of them because this is a 16 cylinder V16 engine. Then engine block inspection. The mechanic might be doing a hydro testing and refacing if necessary. It's gonna send it to machine shop for refacing of the engine block. Then cylinder sleeves, liners replacement. Okay, depending on the engine. The engine could be a Detroit diesel engine, which is a two-stroke cycle engine, or a Cummins engine, which is a four-stroke, a Caterpillar, which is also a four-stroke cycle engine. So the Detroit diesel engines, they call it liners, and the engines like Cummins, they call it sleeves, and the sleeves will have to be pressed to remove it, and press again to install it, unlike the liners can be removed by hand. Okay, and this I would like to show you the uh the I'd like to show you the engine that we're gonna be doing. It could be the Detroit diesel. This is a 1.9 16V Detroit diesel engine, or you could be doing Caterpillar, or you'll be doing major overhauling of the Cummins engine. So these are huge engines. These are monster engines, biggest engines being utilized in the heavy equipment and generating sets industry. All right. So anyway, going back to the major overhaul. Okay. So these are the things that we're gonna be doing. And again, cylinder sleeves liner replace, camshaft bushing replace, intercooler reconditioning. Okay. Some engine does have intercooler, some engines doesn't have intercooler or turbocharger reconditioning. Some engine does have turbocharger. Most of the generating sets are having turbocharger. Okay. But other equipment like some heavy equipment, sometimes they use engine which is only a naturally aspirated engine, or some engines are using intercooled turbocharged type of engine. Anyway, it doesn't matter because we're going to do a individual man hour determination of this activity. Then we're gonna be doing a calibration of fuel injector pump calibration, fuel transfer pump reconditioning, oil pump reconditioning. We're going to be doing lapping or grinding the trash washer or replace if necessary. Okay, if the oil pump is really damaged, that's why you're having a problem knocking in the main you know in the crankshaft journals, the main journals or the connecting rod journals, because probably the oil pump is not working anymore. And if the oil pump is not working, then there will be no supply of oil for lubrication into those parts like the crankshaft journals and the camshaft bushings. So those parts will the connector rod bearings and the main bearings will burn out and will stick, okay, to the journals, and and knocking will happen. Okay, that's what I said earlier, knocking of the engine. Then crankshaft main journals and connecting rod journals grinding. Of course, you are going to measure whether the journals has to go to to the machine shop for reconditioning, you know, replacement of bearings, uh, resizing of bearings or something like that. Okay, then when everything, all the parts are ready, then we're gonna assemble the engine. The mechanic rather is going to assemble the engine, like mounting of cylinder heads, installation of camshaft, crankshaft, pistons. It takes some time to do these things, and other parts like installation of a turbocharger, installation of uh, in the water cooler, installation of so many other things. Then adjust intake and exhaust valves and time the injectors. For the Caterpillar, they got this what you call uh, fuel injection pump. Okay, and it will have to be sent for calibration. But the DDE, the Detroit diesel engines, they it doesn't have the what you call the fuel injection pump calibration. They only have the fuel pump, and then it goes directly to the fuel injector. That's why when you're doing adjustment of the intake and exhaust valve, and also you have to do the timing of the injectors. Okay, there is a special tools that you're going to use, because the injectors of the Detroit diesel is it's also pumping. There's a what you call spring. It is spring loaded, and there's a cam follower which is pressing the injectors for injecting the for injecting the what you call the fuel for combustion. So what you need to do is you have to time the injectors. This is for Detroit diesel engines. And most of the engines now are having the what you call tappet, hydraulic tappet. So the tappet is like the cam follower, yeah, right? So if this hydraulic, then no need for adjustment. You just put it 0-0 clearance, and the hydraulic will already work by itself. Then the mechanic is gonna mount the engine on the engine test bench. Most of the motor pool, they have what you call test bench. They are running the engine off the heavy equipment or off the generator first before they're gonna install it to the generator or mount it to the heavy equipment. They're gonna test it in the motor pool first, because they want to make sure that maybe there will be no problems in terms of adjustment of the valves. There will be no oil leaking from somewhere, you know. So that's why they want to make sure that it's 100% ready for installation. So they're gonna test run the engine and make any adjustment as necessary. Then and the mechanic is now gonna mount the engine on the dynamometer testing room. So he's going to, to couple the engine to the dynamometer. There's also available overhead crane, so there'll be no problem for the mechanic to do it. Installation of the engine to the dynamometer. Okay, why is this being done? This is being done because the mechanic wants to make sure that the engine achieve the right torque of the engine. There are only two things that is going to achieve from this overhauling, okay, achievement, which is getting the torque and also the brake horsepower. The brake horsepower is the actual horsepower when the engine is is being given a load, like couple it to a generator or the heavy equipment. Okay. um the engine is if it is being subjected to load, the engine will have a brake horsepower. Okay, the torque will increase and the brake horsepower should be attained. If not, then there is a problem with the engine, or maybe making adjustment again to the injection system, to the fuel supply system, something else. there may be some problems if the engine does not have the brake horsepower. Brake horsepower is different from indicated horsepower or IHP. IHP is like theoretical. This is coming from the manufacturing, okay? And this is the IHP is, you from the formula or theoretical formula in finding out that, but that's another topic, how you're going to get the IHP or indicated horsepower. What's important in this process is you get the brake horsepower. That's why you mount it on a dynamometer and doing the testing, okay, so that for you to be able to see whether the engine will reach the brake horsepower that's supposed to give. Then mount engine on the heavy equipment and or generator and test run. Okay, so that would be complete now, the engine overhauling. So what we're going to do now is we're going to determine the man hour, then the labor cost, so that we know how much the labor cost that we're gonna charge to the customer, the customer who owns this engine, okay, because we're gonna be charging them, okay. So how are we going to do that? We're gonna be doing the labor cost first. In order for us to know the labor cost here in the man hour and labor cost, we have to know the labor cost of the labor. We have to determine the labor costing first. The first one is the mechanics pay per month. Okay, it is just say the mechanics pay is around 30,000. Okay, it could be in rupees or it could be in pesos, Philippine pesos. Okay, so some regular mechanics like automotive mechanics, they're just receiving around 18,000 or maybe 20,000, per month um, salary. Okay, but the heavy equipment mechanic or specialized mechanic or most senior mechanics, they're receiving more salary, around maybe perhaps around 30,000. I'm not sure about this, but it could be that much, because if you're a mechanic doing a 16 cylinder V16 like Caterpillar, Cummins, Alice Chalmers, those kind of engine, Detroit diesel, you have, you will be asking more for your salary, and the one receiving being received by a ordinary mechanic or automotive mechanic for 18,000 is small salary. No mechanics will accept that kind of offer, a salary offer from some companies. So you know so I say 30,000. Then, okay, 13-month pay, we're gonna get the 10th month pay, and then the 14th month pay. Some companies are calling it bonus or mid-year bonus, but some companies are calling it 14th month pay. So we're gonna calculate that. So it should be 30 divided by 12 to get the monthly cost. So divided by 12, right? So it would be 2,500 monthly. And then the 14 month, again divided by 12 months, that would be 2,500 again. All right. For social security, this is insurance. I'm not sure about it, but let's just say 1,500. It could be 1,000, it could be 1,2, it could be 1,3, but I'll just make it 1,500. And for health insurance, most likely it would be 1,000. Okay, you can make the changes if you want to make the changes and put the right amount. It's up to you, but I'm just giving you this template for our lesson for this exercise. So doesn't matter whether the amount is correct or not. The other one is it's DMF. They call it DMF. Actually, it's like Home Development Mutual Fund. Okay, this is an organization where the some of the employees can actually apply for a housing loan so that they can build their own house. So they go for it for this. It's DMF. So they call it Home Development Mutual Fund. If you don't, if you're still renting an apartment, a flat, and you want to start building your home, then you can approach this organization. You apply for a loan, housing. They call it housing loan. So okay, and the employer is also paying for this. Okay, this is a shared responsibility. The employer, all of this, except the 13th month and 14th month pay. The social security is the employee has his own share of paying. I don't know how much, and the health insurance also own share, and the HDMF also his own share. But this is all of these are all coming from the employer. Okay, we want to find this out because we want to know how much we're gonna charge the customer for the major overhauling cost, right? In terms of the labor cost. So what? How much would be the monthly? The monthly would be the total of all of this. So we find the sum of this. Sum. Oh, okay. So that would be the monthly cost for the, for the employer or the company, 37,700. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it hourly so that we know how much we're going to charge the customer. So we're going just to divide it by 208 hours in 1 month. Okay, 1 month, 26 days, multiplied by 8 hours, because 8 hours working hours for for daily working hours. So that would be 181. Okay, this is the cost, per that is hourly cost. Of course, we're going to add, add plus or add. Um, I think the right word is add, right? So I'm gonna change it to add markup. Okay, markup. So I'm gonna think that the markup should be around 30%, right? So 30%, because uh, there are also other expenses like miscellaneous or maybe a little bit of overhead cost, you know. But we're only talking about the labor cost here. So now we're gonna find out how much would be our hourly rate. So our uh, hourly rate should be around how much? We're gonna multiply this because we're adding markup or margins, gross margins. Okay, multiply by 30%, that would be 236. Okay, 236. Okay, now we're going to the major overhaul sheet. So we're gonna put it here. Hourly rate should be coming from this one, 236. So it would be 236. Okay, now we're gonna find out the man hour. What would be the man hour for each of this activity, so that we know how much would be our labor cost. We already have the hourly rate. Now the thing that we're gonna find out is the man hour. Okay, okay. This is coming from my experience. Okay, determining the man hour. But man hours could be different depending on the person. This is the based on person to person. A person could be a fast, worker. A person could be a slow worker, you know. But I'm just trying to get the average of this man hour, and this is coming from my experience in the past employment where I was handling the heavy equipment, including, those huge equipment like Caterpillar equipment, like bulldozer, haulers, payloader, wheel loaders, things like that, scraper, you know, vibrator rulers, those things. I was involved in those equipment for like, and also these generating sets, 1,500 kVA generating sets, you know, 2,000 kVA, 4,000 kVA, huge, generating sets for the standby power supply of a company. I was handling that before. So let's just say that the engine pull out. Okay, remember this is a huge equipment. This is not like uh, uh, a four-cylinder, six-cylinder, or even a V8. This is a V16. This is a huge, just like what I show you before. See the Cummins or engine. Okay. See the Caterpillar. Oh, those are huge engines, right? How many cylinder head? Individual cylinder head. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Eight here. Right bank. Eight cylinder head in the in the left banks. Detroit diesel engines also. These are huge engines. So you know, so it's not a joke. You need some time to to do this thing. So, engine pull out, I would say that would be 16 hours. Okay. Okay. Let's make it fast. Okay. Engine washing, you need 2 hours for this. Dismantling of engine is, you need 8 hours for this. And then the sandblasting, you know, some companies are buying this sandblaster. It's like a big box where you have the motors and you have the sandblaster, the grid, sun grit rather, sun grit. This is also good for cleaning. You will say when you sandblast the parts, components, becomes it will become looks like a brand new parts because it's very clean, really clean. So if you don't have this, then I would suggest that you buy this. I don't think this is much. I don't think this will be that expensive. So try to acquire this one, sandblaster. So for the sandblasting, all the parts will be sandblasted, especially those with carbonized already, like the piston, full of carbons already. Uh, the 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 cylinder head, there are lots of carbon deposits. The valves, especially the exhaust valves, there are lots of carbon deposits. So you need to do the sandblasting of all these parts. So I would say I would need 6 hours to do this thing. Cylinder head reconditioning, like valve seats replacement, grinding of valves or seats. You need more time for this. The grinding. You use grinding stick, and you're grinding how many? 16 cylinders, and each cylinder is having four valves. Two valves for intake and two valves for exhaust valves, and for each cylinder you need to grind using the grinding stick. Okay, four valves each cylinder, and there are 16 cylinders. So you need more time to this, and you need 2 days to this. 8 hours a day. So you need 16 hours for this. Then the engine block inspection, hydro testing, and reface if necessary. So you need 4 hours for this, including the testing, including the inspection. You know, cylinders, sleeves, and liners replace. Especially with this a sleeves. You need to send the cylinder block to the maybe horizontal or maybe a what you call hydraulic press to press it. You need time for this. Okay, so I would say cylinder sleeves would be, I would say 4 hours also, 4 hours, and then camshaft bushing replace. You're going to replace the camshaft. The camshaft is also has to be pressed. You know, and there are so many bushing in the camshaft. So let's say 4 hours also. Okay. I would say, I think this would be 8 hours. Okay, it will take more time to do this. Then intercooler recondition, the intercooler, you need 8 hours for this reconditioning. You have to open it and you have to clean it and you have to check the parts. You have to lap whatever parts that it is, like the thrust washers or the shimming. You have to lap it or grind it. You need time for this also. So the intercooler is also around, uh, yeah, 8 hours. And then for the turbocharger reconditioning, there are two turbocharger, one on the left side and one on the right side. or sometimes I think there are how many? Sometimes there are four turbochargers, and usually two turbochargers, and they're being, the turbocharger. There is one you call cold wheel, and there is or compressed wheel, compressor wheel, and there is what they call turbine wheel or the hot wheel. Okay, so the turbocharger is driven by the exhaust because the exhaust is coming from the exhaust manifold. You know, okay. So by the way, I almost forgot. I'd like to remind everyone that this video is intended for some engineers perhaps, some mechanics, or the guys in the customer service for motor pool, the one doing the costing. Okay, in relation with the costing with the cost accounting, you know. So those personnel will need to have this video in order for them to learn and learn more, or maybe a refresher, I don't know. So turbocharger calibration, rather turbocharger reconditioning, and that would be 8 hours also. Okay. So fuel injection calibration. So fuel injector calibration. You need to calibrate, especially the DDE, the Detroit diesel engines. You need to calibrate the the fuel injector. That would be, uh, I think, also 4 hours. And then fuel injection pump calibration. Fuel injection pump for Caterpillar. Remember 16 cylinder. This is a huge injection pump. So, uh, Caterpillar. Okay, the dismantling of these parts are already included in the engine dismantling of engine dismantling, and this probably this transfer pump will be just, or rather the injection pump will be done by the calibration room. You know, the technician who is doing the calibration. Then I would give this a injection pump. I would give this around maybe around 4 hours also. And then for the fuel transfer pump, okay, before the fuel reaches the injection pump, there will be fuel transfer pump from the tank, okay, supplying the injection pump. So this is a fuel transfer pump, and mostly are gear type of injection pump, or rather fuel transfer pump. I would say 2 hours only for this one. Oil pump reconditioning. This is the lubrication, system oil pump. Lapping or grinding the trash washer or replace if necessary. Replace the trash washer. You don't replace the oil pump. The oil pump don't get damaged. Maybe the trash washer, or maybe the gear themselves, because there is a drive gear and there is a driven gear for gear type oil pump. So you just replace if necessary. Okay, so that would be oil pump reconditioning. That would be, I think, that would be 4 hours. Okay. Then for the crankshaft journals and connecting rod journals, you need to grind also, grinding, by using a sandpaper, some kind of sandpaper, a special sandpaper for used by grinding. This is not a normal, standard sandpaper that they use. They put a rope around it, they wrap up rope around it, and then they grind it using the rope. Okay, I don't know how you. Okay, but I think you more or less you know already how it's being done. If you are working in a motor pool, so more or less you know already how to be done, how this is being done. So that would be around 8 hours. It takes some time. This is a no, this is a big crankshaft, right? Okay, and journals grinding and assembly. Now you're going to assemble the engine, mounting of cylinder heads, camshaft, crankshaft, pistons, and other parts like intercooler for DD. You have a blower, you have a turbocharger, okay. You have a water cooler, okay, etc. So everything. You're going to assemble now the engine. So this one will take some time. This will be 3 days. Okay. 8 times 3 days, 8 hours times 3 days. That would be 24 hours. Then adjust intake valves and time the injectors. This would be around 6 hours. Okay. Then mount engine on engine test bench and test run the engine, and this would be 8 hours, including the running of the engine. You have to monitor the engine, look at the some leaks, leaking. Maybe oil is leaking from the center bearing of the turbocharger, or maybe engine oil is leaking from the water cooler. You know, engine is leaking from somewhere else. Okay, so you need yeah, 8 hours, and then for the dynamometer test, dynamometer test would be around 16 hours. Okay, 2 days, 8 hours times 2 days. Then mount engine on the heavy equipment or generator test run. This one would be around 8 hours. Okay, now we're going to sum this up. Okay, sum this up. Sum starting from the mount of engine, going all the way up. Then enter. Just enter. Okay, a total of 164 man hours. Okay. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna calculate the labor cost hourly rate. Okay, this should be around the man hour multiplied by 236. This is hourly rate. This is already the cost. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to uh, press the F4 for the no absolute cell reference. Okay, F4. Then enter. Okay, so that will be able to copy it down all the way down so that we know how much all the total cost. Okay, and then we'll just copy it. Okay, so therefore the total cost to overhaul, to do a major overhauling of a 16 cylinder uh 16 cylinder V16 engine would be around 38,640. This is only for the labor cost. Okay, this is only for the labor cost. Does not include the spare parts and other materials. Okay, so right. So if you have a customer is seeking for a major overhauling of a 16 cylinder V type engine, major overhaul, then you already know how much the cost would be to overhaul. And you see, this is around 164 man hour. We're going to divide that by 208 hours. Okay, it's around 3 weeks. Okay, it's around 3 weeks to do it. So 164 uh, with the cost of 38,643. Doing all these things. Okay, major overhaul or general overhaul. Uh, you're going to fulfill the work order, which is the engine major overhaul or engine rebuilding of a 16-cylinder V-type engine. Okay, that's it for now. I hope you like this video, and if you do, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified of all the videos uploads of my new video uploads. Okay, in the coming days, I'm planning to upload every other day. I hope I'll be able to do that. Okay, if I be able to do that, then that would be good for everyone. Okay, and thank you for watching.